Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Nick. I'm not, I'm Paul Norris, and I'm an instructor here in the Architectural Technologies program at SAIT. And I'm going to do a presentation on going on a study tour to Chicago, New York. Now, normally we do this as a meeting, but it's getting late in the semester and people don't want to come to meetings anymore. So I'll just make a YouTube video and then you guys can ask any questions. This should answer most of your questions. You don't need to see me no more, so I'll delete that and then I'll get this screen out of here too. So we want to go to Chicago and New York in full screen mode in April of 2025. Let's go back to America again. The proposal is for a AT tour to America in 2025. It'll be the 16th annual. That's not true. COVID killed it for a year or two, so 15th maybe 14th. Executive summaries, that's going to be 11-day architectural travel study program to Chicago and New York City. The dates are Friday, April 25th, which is the last day of week 15. Last year, the first years had a math exam on that day. It had to get moved. And then we come back on Monday, May 5th. That's the only time in the history of the tours that there was a test on that day. Final registration to register for this trip will be Monday, January 13th at 4 p.m. But there'll be a form that I attach to this email. Get it in early. Try and confirm your spot. We haven't maxed out our numbers in the last, I think we only did once in the history of the trip. So if you get it in, you're probably going to be accepted as long as you pay. Email the registration form to me at paul.norris@sait.ca. Get it in. Even if you want to submit the registration form and you're not 100% sure you can make it, that's okay. Submit it anyway, and we'll get the numbers up as high as we can, and then we can start paying for the trip. You'll be paying for the trip on Monday, January 13th. That's when you can kind of put it on your tuition with a credit card. 5 nights in each city. Tours will follow the same format that we've used past years. Again, it's probably like our 14th year or something. We do organized tours led by professional tour groups. We have tours led by SAIT instructors, which is me and someone else. Last year it was the great Dave Silburn. In the past it's been Allah and William and others that I can't think of off the top of my head. Blair Marsden, he's gone. We do architectural office tours sometimes in Chicago. We've done SOM, Getz Architects, and in New York City we did Foster and Partners. We can probably do that one again. We have also done Shop Architects. So some pretty cool architectural office tours we get to do. We do sport, culture, food. And we also do informal other events such as outdoor classrooms, local attractions, other field trips. So we give you options to do other architectural things too, and non-architectural like art galleries and sporting events. Accommodations, they are tried, tested, and true. They are in Chicago. We stayed at a hotel called the Freehand, which you can Google Chicago Freehand, and it's a great hotel. In New York City, we stay in the YMCA. West Side, that's what it's called. I thought it's called the Vanderbilt, but we stay in the West Side YMCA, which is on the southwest corner of Central Park. Holy, what a great spot. Maximum group size is 20 students and 2 instructors. So last year we had 12, and once we had 22. 22 is too many. So we'll do 20 at the most. So get your registration in. What we do is we fly Calgary to Chicago and New York City to Calgary. That's about 700. And then the trip from Chicago to New York is about 150. We fly that one too. While we're there, we buy you metro passes for each city. They're about $50. Chicago is still quite affordable. And New York's quite affordable too. Accommodations, they've gone up a little bit. So in Chicago, it's about $60 a night, maybe a hair more, 209 US, I think it is, plus tax. And New York City at the YMCA is a bit more expensive. It just depends if we can get quad rooms or double rooms, but it should be around that price, which if you've ever been to New York City, $80 a night is off the charts affordable. Organized tours, we have 2 or 3 tours per city. This is a rough estimate, so they're usually about $50 each. Sometimes we've done a river cruise, which is like 80, and a different tour is like 30. So it ends up being about 50. These are ballpark numbers. And then medical insurance, 11 days in America is about $50. I think it's a bit more than that now, but these numbers usually end up pretty good. If you add up all these numbers, it does not total $2,150, but it should come pretty close to that. So, it should be around that number. Last year was 2,100, and we were a little tight for funds, so might end up being around this, but it'll be right around that number. What it doesn't include is entry fees to like museums and stuff. It doesn't include meals. It includes some meals. So we have maybe 4 meals together, maybe 5, and other stuff like alcohol. drinking age in the U.S. is 21. So you guys usually spend about $50 a day on Subway and McDonald's and stuff like that, wherever you want to eat. This is us the very first year we went. That's me before the gray hair. This is Mark Boussier before the white hair. And this is the first group that we ever traveled with. Really good people in that group. So we get to do some pretty cool things, like the John Hancock Tower, which is not called the Hancock anymore. And then this is touring a building at IIT campus, which students love when we find Wi-Fi and they can go on their phones and check whatever they check. We've also in the past done the Chicago River Cruise. Last year, Dave Silburn and I changed it up a little bit, and instead of paying $90 for a river cruise, we paid $6 for a river taxi. And then Dave and I gave this really cool tour from the river. We also see some of the best architecture on the planet, which this is the Roby House by Frank Lloyd Wright. This is in Chicago, and this is the very first group we ever had there. This is widely regarded as the first modern house and one of the greatest houses ever built. This is a view from on top of the Hancock. There used to be a bar up there, and last year it closed. It kind of, I don't know, post-COVID or something, but this is a view of the Chicago skyline, so pretty cool stuff. We do other extracurricular things. This is going to the House of Blues. So one night, me and about 3 or 4 other students went to a Chicago Fire soccer game. And then after the game, some other students have gone to the House of Blues. And you don't have to be drinking age to get in the House of Blues if you go before 9 p.m. or something. So we ended up having a really good evening at the House of Blues, which was lots of fun. One of the most, Chicago is the home of the blues. So one of the worst blues bands you see in Chicago is probably the best blues band you'll ever see. We went to a White Sox game last year. They were the worst team in baseball. And at this game, it rained quite a bit. And the White Sox got 5 runs in the bottom of the ninth, won the game. That was pretty crazy. And this is a view of the downtown Chicago from the end of the pier. Actually, it's not. It's from the park at the Navy Pier, which is one of the most visited spots in Chicago. And that's no filters. So just to get that image is pretty darn cool. Other things we've done in the past, I don't want to have beer in every picture, but the first year the Blackhawks were in the playoffs, and we got there for the second round of the Blackhawks, and we saw that was the year they won the Cup. So we had a lot of fun getting some standing room only tickets. In that same year, we went to a Cubs game. The Cubs haven't been around. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Most professionals would pause it. The Cubs haven't been around when we're there normally. If the Cubs aren't home, the White Sox are. But this is Brett Allen. He's worked at Dirt since then. So this is about 15 years ago. He caught a home run ball at the cheap seats or at the bleachers in Wrigley Field. And then he ended up giving this ball to a boy. He was a Chicago kid, and it was his first game ever, and it was his birthday. So Brett gave him that ball a few innings later. Brett also caught a puck at this game. So he caught a puck at the Hawks game and a baseball at the Cubs game 2 days later. This is New York City. So in New York, this is when I went with Allah, and we had an office tour of Norman Foster's office. So it's on about, I don't know, the 35th floor or something. So what's really cool is that when we looked out these windows, we were looking at other buildings, because every other time you get a view in New York, you're looking down on the buildings. So it's really cool to actually see them. And then we talked to the architect who took this picture for us. And we said, where were you when Scully landed the plane on the Hudson? He's like, I was right here. And he said he could see just to the right, he could see the tail of the plane going past him when Scully landed on the Hudson, whatever movie that was. This is Times Square. I forget the name of that movie. This is Times Square, which is, of course, we have to go to because it's so good. And then this is the Chrysler Tower, and this is Grand Central Station. So just such amazing stuff we get to see in New York City. We went on a tour last year, and I don't see a lot of new stuff, but this was a new one that I saw. I wonder if any of you recognize what that is, because it's that. So this is John Wick, and that's the hotel. I can't remember what it's called, Colonial, or you guys are gonna yell at me. But in John Wick, he just walked us by. He goes, "What do you think that is?" And it's actually for lease, which is funny. But that's the hotel that John Wick stays at in John Wick. Other things in New York, this is a beautiful sculpture by a British architect named Thomas Heatherwick. This is at the end of, it's in Hudson Yards, which is this brand new development, which is billions of dollars worth of building. And hopefully we can go up. It's been closed for a few years. Of course, Empire State Building. And we do jump on the water too. The Staten Island Ferry is free. So we get to jump on the Staten Island Ferry one day, and we rip across to Staten Island, and we get to go past Statue of Liberty. And apparently we get to see a schooner if we're lucky. This is on the Staten Island Ferry. This is a view looking back to the lower Manhattan. And one of the traditions we do is an architectural bike tour. And we used to pay for it, but it's pretty expensive now. So now I kind of run it. And in this year, I lost about three-quarters of the people. But last year, I didn't lose anybody. I was so proud. But what's really cool is that by this day, it's one of our last days. You guys know the city so well that you can get home on your own if you get lost. You don't get lost. We're just too far ahead of you, or you're tired and you want to go home. This is the Manhattan Bridge, and of course, that's the Brooklyn Bridge, and that's Freedom Tower right there. That's at Ground Zero. When in New York, heck, let's go to the Yankees games. So the cool thing about Chicago and New York is they both have two baseball teams, and baseball season has started. So one of the teams is always in town. So going to a Yankees game, I don't care if you're a baseball fan or not. It's probably the most famous sporting franchise on earth, up there with Man City or Real Madrid and Los Angeles Dodgers and all that. So we went to a Yankees game, and we can get in there pretty cheap, $25 or so, and ends up being a pretty fun night. There's also lots of TV shows that are shot. So if you want to go see, like, I went to Gutfeld. This is on Fox, so kind of right wing kind of show, which I thought was just sort of funny to go to. But you can also go to Saturday Night Live. Last year, I should have put a picture in here. Last year, we went to see that left wing guy. What's his name? Stephen Colbert. So a bunch of us went and saw that, and it's free. Seeing TV shows being filmed is free. And then a couple years ago, me and a couple others went and saw Billy Joel. So Billy Joel has played Madison Square Garden the most of anybody in history. And me and two other students, and actually, to be honest, one of the students' dads, he came for the trip. Didn't come for the trip. He came to see Billy Joel, and that was my seat at Billy Joel. So that's pretty cool. Something I like to say is that this is the Beastie Boys. If you survive all 5 nights in Chicago with no sleep until we get to Brooklyn, you get the trip for free. But that's not true. I just used to play no sleep till Brooklyn whenever we had a meeting. And that was my funny little way to end the meeting. So I wonder if this raised more questions or answers. Hope to see you there. Final registration, 4 p.m. Monday, January 13th, 2025. But get the form in now to confirm your spot. If more than 20 people apply, we'll have to think of something else to do. But we haven't had more than 20 apply. We only have once in the history of the trip. So get your form in, and you can start paying for the trip Monday, January 13th. You pay it like tuition. It goes on like a class. So you just go over or do it online or go over to the Heritage Hall and just pay it with your credit card. So, January 13th is time when everyone has so much extra money and so much room on their credit cards. Email the registration form attached to paul@paul.norris@SAIT.ca to confirm your spot. I don't have anything else. Now we usually leave it for questions, and then there was something that I was thinking of earlier that I forgot, that I usually have to answer. I can't remember. Can you buy your own flights? No. Your flights are purchased by me through SAIT. Unfortunately, you can't use your parents' air miles. Sorry, we used to be able to. Yeah, I can't think of anything else that gets asked. If you have any questions, email me, and I'll kind of answer a few more questions. But like I said, normally we have a meeting for this, but I didn't really want to tie you guys up with. Let's see if I can do this. There, I can do it. I didn't want to tie you guys up with the meetings and stuff this late in the year. So yeah, hopefully that answers questions. It's so much fun. It's two of the most architecturally significant cities on earth, and to get to do them with your friends and with like-minded people is really, really fun. So hopefully you can make it. If you have any questions, fire me an email. Peace, everybody. See you in Chicago.